that video going back and forth? You like that? That's some AR RTX stuff. So Larry, why don't you go over there while I switch and fix this?
I'm making a wave like the stadium.
This is pretty much us all week podcasting. Yeah.
All right, everybody, welcome Game School Online. We're doing a weekly show here. We're going to get top-level industry talent to come join us for roughly 35, 40 to an hour, showing us some process, showing us some skills, showing us some tutorialized content that'll help you take your career even that much further through any of the disciplines that are, pretty common in the game industry. Obviously, artists, engineers, designers, sound. I don't know if we'll ever get any production tutorials, but
maybe
we're open.
The thing we're trying to accomplish here is that every week, every Thursday, we're going to bring Tutorialize. All our shows that you are watching from Twitch is, of course, leaning towards how to succeed in the game business. What is the game industry about, or what are news about games or anything that is related to game. Yeah. With our games recap show. Games Go Online is strictly about technical abilities and trying to tutorialize every discipline that we can. And maybe we'll have production, right? Maybe we'll have someone come up here and on our TV to kind of show us how to work their way around an Excel sheet and other things. This is not to hate on producers, but managing is definitely a key part to that, and understanding everybody's role is only going to help you as an individual. With that being said, it also gives an opportunity to talk about what's going on with Games Go Online every week, right? So if you are a member, you should have gotten or received what we are planning to do with our weekly workshop. So at the $15 tier every week, you'll be able to jump in any of these calendar invites and be able to work alongside AAA scholars, industry professionals, and as a group, talk face-to-face with developers on whether critiques, job interview questions, advice, life advice, career advice for an hour each week, right? And this is right now it's actually cycling between me for environment workshop, Larry as design workshop, and of course Thomas Wright, our lighting scholar workshop. And this is something we're really dedicated and think it's going to be a huge thing. And that is probably the biggest news that we have for this week. Students who are in advanced or looking to go in advanced classes, we're doing like a rehaul into our school system. And we are actually making sure that that side of the thing, turning in homework, is going to be part of the system. I know we're going through Discord. We might keep a part of that for community critiques and all that stuff. But we're looking to kind of evolve like everyone where you're taking courses to just submit homework there. It'll be a lot easier, more straightforward. Either you pass or fail, you'll be notified there. That's why we're kind of holding back on the advanced courses right now. We're just making sure the beginning courses are just up and running. Aside from that, we are always looking for feedback. Jump on our Discord, Games Go Online Discord, to chat with other students, and everybody's available over there. So, I believe we have our friend.
He needs another link.
He needs a link again. But to buy that time, let's kind of talk about the overall goals of Games Go Online. I'm going to switch to Larry Cam real quick.
Sure. Games Go Online, the one thing that we want to do is help people around the world become better game developers. We are taking our expertise as college-level professors in game development. Brandon has taught at a couple of different art schools, art colleges, how to do environment art. I've taught at a couple of different art schools and colleges on how to do game design and level design. And so we know the curriculum aspect and the benefits of having a structured learning path, and we're going to recreate that on our platform and distribute it as freely as possible to people around the world who are interested in learning game development, but specifically through us. If you want an active teacher who is still in the game industry, teaching you how they make video games and teaching you the rights and wrongs, come to Games Go Online. That's one of the best reasons for why we exist currently. Let me pull it over here.
Yeah, the original goal 3 years ago was that we provide education because we've been through the ringer, right? So GameDevUnchain, our podcast, is talking about being inside the field, Game School Online is about before you enter the field, which is a minefield in all its glory, right? So we are still going towards that goal. We've been mostly crowdfunded out of pocket, making sure that anybody that you meet on a professional level gets paid, but also we're focusing on making the new courses available through other means, right? Because our Patreon has been great for the support, but we figured the type of courses we want to make takes a lot more work and takes a lot more fees. And so we're looking at ways to accommodate that, and we have really big plans to make that happen. Until then, these one-on-one workshops, I think, will help all members to kind of get better without having to wait for a whole course to finish up. So with that being said, let's go ahead and start bringing in Colin, which seems to be all set up now. So I'm going to clue him in real quick and do a little short introduction.
Look at that shirt.
It's a nice shirt.
Ooh.
What's up, Colin?
Actually, really quick, is my screen share working, you guys? Or
Yeah, your screen share is perfect right now. You got it working now. I think a restart is what it was needed to make it happen.
Yeah, sorry about all that. But God, yeah, great to see you, Larry, Brandon. Yeah, I'm wearing the awesome shirt.
Right
I
here.
gotta make for you.
Yeah, there we go. We got to mention this. So all the awesome graphics, and this is actually a great time. You see the GameDevUnchain shirt, the Game School Online logo, and actually they don't see my camera. The Game School Online camera, and then the actual blue GameDevUnchain shirt is all made and accommodated by and provided to us by Collin Fogel. So Colin Fogel was actually my lead artist back at 2K over a decade ago. But he's just an extraordinaire on the 2D side as well, and has been mostly focusing on that the last few years on his own graphic novel, Dark Holidays.
Okay, so I just have a ton of random images. I guess first off, I'm just going to talk about, my style, over all the years of coloring and drawing. I kind of turned away from the whole doing gradations and everything, and I stick more with a manga hard edge style, as you can see. With time limitations, everything, it's just been the way for me to go. So usually what I do is my pages are 11 by 17 or 12 by 18, my comic pages, and I have to scan them in 3 sections. So here you can see my pencils. And so once I combine them, let me just close these. And then get an image like this, which obviously this has been cleaned up pretty well. I kind of go in and have to do a lot of erasing and whatnot. Just kind of go in. Okay. Can you guys still hear me?
Yep, still here.
Keep going, bro.
I might check every so often. Okay. So yeah, this is actually really quick. God, I don't really know where to exactly start. I'll probably jumping around a lot. But this is a page from a comic I'm working on right now called Hazel. This is issue 2, page number 8. It's very time intensive. I could simplify my style, or even add more detail. But this is, I guess, where I'm happy at.
How long do you usually take to kind of get to this stage? I mean, do you go with thumbnail sketches before actually finalizing a pencil?
Oh yeah, I do very, very quick, really crappy.
Yeah.
Where did I leave off at?
Go back to when I was asking you how long it takes for you to get a final pencil and sketch.
Oh, yes. So yeah, I feel like there's many components to that, because I feel like you got to usually be in the zone. For me, if I'm feeling lethargic, not very creative, all that good stuff, stressed out from other things in life, this and that, drawing definitely takes longer. But when everything is nice and good and, life seems to be going well and you can sit down and actually focus, anywhere from 4 to 8 hours it takes to kind of color. And I do it usually in sections, meaning I'll have time like an hour here, an hour there. Sometimes I'll get 2 or 3 hours. But yeah, it's usually a lot of back and forth. So I'm assuming it's about 4 to 8 hours to pencil a page. And cleanup time takes a little bit of work. Okay. So I hope I don't have to keep checking in to make sure my sound's working.
No, we can hear you still.
Am I still okay? So yeah, I mean, penciling is also the toughest part. I mean, if I was set up, I probably might do some sketching and show you guys some of that really quick. But for now, we'll just do color. Yeah, starting out with a plain blank white page is extremely daunting and still scary to me, even with my skills. Like, I don't know how other professionals feel, but once I start laying my pencil down, I just hope that everything, comes together and the first panel looks good and then the second one. And, I hate getting down to the bottom of the page. And if I mess up down there, it kind of ruins my day, my page a little bit. And I'll have to pull out another page and kind of finish it off. But yeah, so some pages I like, some pages I don't, but the key is to keep moving. I mean, at this point, I have like 70 pages I have to do, and I'm through about 30 of them right now, 40. So, but yes, so get my pencils, scan, get them all on one page, clean it up a little bit. And then, like I said, I usually start by Control A to select it all, Control C to copy, Control V to paste. And this way I can then make it a multiply layer because I want to be able to color underneath it. And so for a background color, I'll usually just kind of pick something medium, something light, not too dark, just so when I begin coloring and putting colors on here, I can actually see, because in the past I would color if I had something too light or dark, and then I wouldn't tell if I actually missed a spot or not. I'd be like coloring, and then later I would hide it and be like, okay, I missed sections in here. But so for me, out of all my techniques, everything I've learned over the years, one of the easiest or starting points for me is I usually do an outline. So in the past, I would literally just kind of color in everything, begin blocking in. Let me get a layer here underneath. So, I would do an interior outline of the whole image. And I mean, all of this is very time intensive. This is like the most time intensive stuff. It is like blocking everything in. So anyway, I would go around. I'm going to do this just really quick just to show you guys. But I would go in, and block it out. And later on in my process, I would usually throw outlines. So I would color in an outline. And what I discovered to save me a lot of time is to actually do my outline first. So as you can see here, I did my outline, entirely everything. And this way I can actually select this chunk, this character, and usually I go expand, just expand a little bit. And I'll fill it in with a color, which I already did down here. Create a layer below my pencil layer. And this always gives me, a great starting point because you want to keep everything on separate layers. That way, just later on or while you're working, you can always go in and do Control A, V, down, up, just to select, this actual character. This way, when I create a new layer and I'm like, okay, I want to draw some hair, I can just scribble over it and not worry about going outside of the lines, what have you. And I'll create, another layer for skin color. And usually I just pick any kind of color to start with, just so I can fill it in, make sure I'm filling it in properly. I do a lot of zoom in.
Hey, Colin, quick question for you.
Mm-hmm.
Were you trained in art school, or would you say that you're more self-taught as an artist?
I would say I was definitely more self-taught. I mean, I don't know if it was the time period back in the late 90s when I went to art school. They weren't really teaching you at all how to do comics or video games. It was just, the basics. Here's how you could probably do art for magazines. Here's, how you can use 3D. And they didn't really do it for movies or games or anything. They just kind of showed you how to use it. And so it wasn't until after I got out of college and in my spare time, I'd always still work on comic book art. And by doing that, I developed all these skills. That's actually a good question, because originally I did a lot of gradation work, which I don't, you can use that style if you want, but for me, I love the hard edge manga. I love Ninja Scroll, that style. Makes things easier, simpler. But back in the day when I first started, I literally would take my gradation tool, pick peach, whatever, and I would begin doing sections and do it like this, begin taking little parts, and that just makes the piece, I feel, look really messy, or you have to really spend a lot of time to make it all work. And for me, like I said, I have limited time with my comic book stuff, whatnot, and I developed my manga coloring style because of that. But so back to really quick with all my layers. This is really important. I keep everything on layers because every color I usually put down is not my final color. I love to come in and then, debate how, if I want them very tan, if you want to try to make them, just, I don't know, pick any color in the rainbow, but green and alien, whatever. So anyway, that's why I put everything on layers. This way I can play with hair color, everything. Usually when I start out, I have a color concept in my head, especially when I do my prelim drawing. I'll sit there and I'll say, okay, I want to draw it very dark, and then I want certain areas to pop. And as I found out, that never really works out. Once I begin coloring and putting things in here, I'll then come in and, just constantly experiment. I'll play around with the background, just try and get everything to complement each other, just see what the feel is, if I want blue or, so many colors work. I mean, even when working on your guys' logos, fonts, anything, you can go so many different routes, and it's sort of to sort of come up with a palette, come up with the style. One thing that I get a lot of comments on is that my color palette looks really cool and unique. And I feel it's just me, not wanting to be realistic, but wanting to be fun. I want, I love Pixar movies, cartoons, all that stuff. And I love when they throw pinks and purples and all sort of other colors in there. So that's kind of what I've gravitated toward.
So here's a question.
But yeah, so anyway,
from
Oh,
our
yes.
Twitch audience, Boss Geekery. The question is, what kind of tablet do you use for drawing? Any favorite accessories? Do you use any other software in the Adobe suite? And the follow-up personal question is, I see that you don't use those Cintiqs. Do you just have you tried using those before and just never liked it?
Phew. To be honest, I bought a pretty expensive Wacom tablet years ago, and it's been perfect for me. Going back to my style, and this is why I chose it, the hard edge manga style, is I really don't want to get into, all the crazy brushes and feathering and, all the modes and sensitivity and all that. I mean, I see a lot of professional comic book artists now trying to rep it, and I wonder if they just get a free copy, a free Cintiq. So they're like, oh, I gotta demo it and show people that I now draw on this instead of draw on paper. But for me, it's just not funny, but it's kind of interesting watching people trying to get the sensitivity down and the brush strokes. And it's like, you can do that all easily on paper. And then in Photoshop, like I said, I really don't want to worry about all that. I keep everything hard edged and try to stay away from gradations. Usually a lot of me pushing stuff back is through layers. So I'll probably show this later, but usually at the end of my drawing, I'll create these specialty layers that kind of push my pencils and stuff kind of back. And maybe that gives it a little bit of a more painterly gradation feel, but that's about the extent that I do with that. Let's see. Oh, yeah, this is a good one. This has... But yeah, Cintiq, who knows? I do know that maybe looking at the drawing and being able to actually touch right over it, but I'm just so used to what I have, and I just don't, have the, I don't want to say the money or time, but yeah, you do got to relearn a lot, I bet. I mean, learning the sensitivity and how to draw on an actual monitor, I'm sure it's a learning curve. So here you can see I added some layers, just kind of push things back, give me color. I hope that kind of answered the question.
Yeah, totally answers the question.
Okay.
That's what I found too. Like, I think knowing you for so long, you tend to not, try to fix things that aren't broken. And I do see a lot of artists kind of constantly in that cycle of upgrading their gear when they don't need to, really, right? Experimenting is always encouraged. I think experimenting is like, do I like it or not, But I think a lot of artists just tend to just upgrade to whatever and without really test driving it. Yeah.
I mean, it's tough. Like I said, some people or not some people, but there are times where I think people, think we do have thousands to blow on something to try out. And I never know if it's going to, all of a sudden not work for me, or just something will happen. And then I have like a, $2,000-$3,000 Cintiq just kind of sitting there. But yeah, I mean, God, it's every year they're coming out with something new. I'm sure over time the Cintiq will be, put on hold. But okay, so yes, back to, so I guess I'll go back to flattening. So as you can tell right here, I usually outline the main characters, give them a shape, like I said, and I repeat that process over. Sorry, guys, bear with me here. So I don't do it for every character, but usually everything in the foreground, I'll give an outline just so, it stands out. I'm going to kind of rush this a little bit since I don't have time to show it all. But yeah, even the outline, I'll play with the color. So once I get kind of an outline, excuse me, depending what color my image is, I'll change it up. I just want it to definitely kind of pop and show that it's in the foreground or background or whatnot, what have you. Actually, let me switch drawings, come over here really quick. So yes, like I said, the most tedious part is filling just everything in and getting it all, getting your flat colors in. Let me just kind of bring this. Okay, these actually I have flattened. But yeah, I'm just going to run through really quick some shadowing because I feel like that's my most favorite part of once I get all, everything filled in and whatnot, everything separated, everything on, its different color layers and whatnot. I'll then obviously select that layer doing the Control A, V down up. It's just a quick grab of that, layer. And then I always come over, create a new layer, and that's a multiply. I usually do multiply just so you can always add color underneath if you want that it'll, the multiply layer will definitely show through. From back in the day, looking at a lot of comic book artists and colorists, I really love when they use blue or purple. And this is another one of those where you got to just lay kind of something down, and then you can adjust it later depending on your the color underneath, because when you multiply, it definitely changes it up. So I usually have 3 shadow layers. My first shadow layer, I literally just go in and I color everywhere where I sort of darkened it, and I know, my pencil. Kind of, you can see right here all these pencil marks that I said, hey, make a shadow. So right now I'm going really quick. Usually I'll zoom in a little more and just kind of really refine it. And this is also a little tedious, but anywho. So yeah, I'll get kind of the basic shadows. Actually, you can see it on this one up here. Okay, which one is she? Okay. Or actually, I guess I'll show you on this girl right here really quick. So as you can see right here, I filled in just basic. And this is where it comes up to the artist to decide, where do you want to put your shadows? Usually people say, oh, pick a light point and just start, filling in one side, whatnot. And for me, I don't really do that. I go in and I look at the muscle, the angles, and I'll just kind of, for my first round, I'll just kind of pick and say, okay, there's definitely a little shadow back here, and whatnot. And then I'll create another layer, which is also multiply, also a blue or purple, which you'll adjust later as well. And this is when I do a bigger swath. I do a sort of a bigger swath to kind of crop out legs or make it seem like there's definitely some shadow in there. Obviously, this is all sort of really quick and half-assed, but so yeah, I'll throw in bigger shadow to just kind of, really push and pull and give it depth, whatnot. I don't know if that's the best one to do it for right there, but or do I have a better image? Sorry, I'm all flip-flopping. And then I'll do a third final layer, also multiply, and this is just like a huge kind of like there's a big structure that's just like next to them, and I'll just kind of, throw it over the whole kind of character, just to make it feel like they're in a shadow. So as you can see, ooh. Wow, I have so many layers here. Oh, that actually looks pretty good back there with that extra layer. All right, let me actually maybe do. So yes, let's see here. Sorry, everybody, bear with me. Live. Okay, so here you can kind of see my two shadows. The small version just filling in and you know, fills in a little more. See, and then I do my big swath, which kind of just swoosh makes it feels like, you know, half her body is being put in shade. Okay, can you guys still hear me?
Yep, we're still good.
Okay, woo. Let's see. So I hope I'm not just all over the place here, but that's kind of how it starts. It usually starts, like I said, filling in all my shapes, and then I do the multiply layers for shadowing, whatnot. Let me actually do a quickie on here really fast, just to. So this will be like my medium version of shadowing. I'm not going to do the fine detail right here, but just kind of do it quick. Go in and use my lines. I mean, it's great to also know anatomy and just everything, because it really helps me just kind of quickly go in and put shadows in usually. I see some artists, some colorists will get a penciler's work, and then they don't, you know, the penciler doesn't really draw the rib cage or a six pack or, you know, define muscles, and then you can tell when the artist goes in, they have no idea really where to, you know, add that hard animation edge. And you kind of just color in and add your own depth. So as you can see, I don't really have pencil marks showing that I have, you know, shadow and whatnot, but I'm just adding it in anyway, since I know I do want that 3D look. So yeah, this is more of a medium. This isn't the really tight shadows. I'll just do a really quick half-ass job right there. But yeah, the reason why it's good to keep these on multiply and separate layers as well is, like I said, is it's good to then go in and experiment, because based on the color underneath, you might want to change your shadow color, and it can really give you sometimes some cool, you know, look effects, whatnot. I noticed that with peach or skin color, usually a really nice purple, or if it's white, a really nice purple looks good. But yeah, it's a horrible color. And then I'll create another multiply layer for my big swath, which will usually kind of come in and really show that like the rib cage is up.
Looks like we might have lost him. But we got through. Oh, there we go. Hey,
We got you back.
Oh, Uh-oh, you guys lost me?
Just
Only
for
for
5
about
seconds.
like 5-10 seconds.
Okay. Ooh, this is turning into a horrible drawing here. Let's see if I can maybe pull this one up and show. Yeah, I think next time I do a drawing tutorial, I'll probably have to save off a lot of images as I go, which I don't really have. So right now it's just me kind of hiding layers and showing you. Yeah, what I have. So as you can see too, I have my pencil layer, which is multiply. I have all my colors underneath, and then on usually the top, so above my pencil layer, I will then create a highlight layer. And this is so that none of my pencils or anything dirty it up. I can take a really nice, yellow, and usually this is where I play with the opacity, and I'll kind of, let's just go in and do a little bit here. But yeah, this is when I'll just slowly start kind of outlining shapes and whatnot and getting detail. So I'll kind of come in, add little hot spots, whatnot. And if you really want it to make it look like, metal or something, you'll come in with white and just do some pow. So yeah, it's a lot of little bits. Let's see. Usually I just stick with white. I'm assuming though God, if I had more time, yeah, definitely. I'm going to put it all in one layer, as you can see right here. But you could always save them as separate layers. That way you can actually come in and maybe make, the water a different color, all those highlights a different color. Experiment green. I mean, a lot of colors definitely work, but for me, I leave it as white. And also, I guess I'll touch this really quick. Above my pencil layer, this is where I add these specialty layers, which are usually linear light, soft light. I think pin light is usually one I use. And I usually start with a blue or purple because that just gives me a good color usually the background. But as you can see, having a good washout color to just push stuff back, the lighter it is. Yeah. So there we go. Nice hot pink. And usually what I do is I never quite know what layer I'm going to use, which I should probably know by now, but it's just fun to pick a color, go over this layer tab and just start hitting down. And I just kind of go through almost every option, and sometimes I'll get some really cool results. And that's how I've kind of learned over the years, just some of these tricks. Saturation's a good one, just because if you have a bland looking image or you pick the wrong color, saturation will always like kind of pop it back and bring a lot of color back into it. So yeah, I keep it very basic. I mean, I feel like anybody, starting out that sees my style, it's pretty simple. I mean, as you see, it's just filling in the shapes, throwing some multiply layers for shadows, creating a layer above my pencil layer where I then throw highlights and whatnot. You pick the really harsh colors, the really harsh white, just so you can, definitely pop things out. Oh, sorry. Let me. So you can kind of add, the wherever you think there's a little edge or something.
What would you say
Lower my
be the
opacity
hardest
down.
part honing your skills? Is it time? Is it just time dedication?
Yeah, it's really weird to explain. I feel like a lot is time and a lot is also being in the proper zone, I guess you would say. Because for me, what I mean by zone is when I draw, there's times where I feel like I get a little too detailed and I feel like I have to make it realistic. And then I'll sit down and watch some anime or look through comic books and I'll see that other people, they just spent more time with fun style and, exaggerating shapes and everything. And it just makes it easier for you to get in that mode of being like, okay, everything doesn't have to be perfect. I can definitely exaggerate a little here or there. I don't have to use a ruler. I mean, for a lot of my images here, I really hate having a ruler and doing perfect straight lines and everything. So I try to hand draw as much as I can and just use a ruler for certain lines. Like maybe for the outside of this building, I used a ruler, and then for everything else, I just kind of hand sketched. So yeah, that's one good thing to look at when you're drawing, going into it, how clean, realistic, precise do you want to be? And that there's a lot of comics out there that have made it big and they don't have, the best style, perfect. Everybody knows anatomy, how to draw perspective really well, whatnot. So yeah, but yeah, I do got to keep drawing though all the time. That's the thing. If I do take too long off and get back in it, it does take a little bit of time to get back in that mode of just being a little more free and a little more loose. And it definitely helps with shapes, everything. But let's see. Sorry, any other?
Yeah, I have one last
comments,
question.
Brent?
So obviously you have like this great blend of traditional and digital input to finish off your drawing and everything. And I think you made a little comment before where you feel maybe like either shortcuts or comic artists or just traditional 2D artists are going full digital now as their mainstay. Is there a reason? Is it just because you're used to a certain way? You just feel like your style it helps to kind of go your routine. Have you tried to go fully digital before, and you're just like this doesn't feel right? The process doesn't feel as good. Because you go full pencil, full inking, and then you do coloring digital, right? That's your.
Well, actually, I don't do any inking. That's another way I save time. I mean, I don't know how comic companies feel about that. A lot of them do think I ink, but yeah, it's in the future. If I can, maybe I'll get an inker. But I feel like I lose a lot of detail and form and shape when I ink, so I just leave pencils and then go in and color over, and that's where I kind of clean it up, tighten it up. But yeah, with technology, man, like I think earlier I said, it gets expensive. You have to own a lot of equipment, and you might begin using it and then realize like, oh, I actually prefer pen to paper. It's just much easier to get the sensitivity you need. Usually for me, it's easy to buy the pencil lead type that I like. If I'll start out light and then I'll use like 2B or HB to draw, and then B lead to get the harder outlines and whatnot if I really want it. But whenever I try actually drawing on the computer, yeah, it's been tougher for me to get those strokes. Racing, everything. I feel like it's just so much easier sitting down. The seating is easier. I sit on my couch, so I don't have to sit in a chair. I got TV on, but I'm sure if I would try a Cintiq and whatnot, yeah, who knows? Maybe I would love it. But for now, it gives me my best results, and then just coloring it in Photoshop keeps everything minimal.
Well, Colin, before we start to wrap up there, brother, do you mind telling us a little more about the story of your comic and where, if people are excited about your art, they can continue to follow and check it out?
Oh, yes. Really quick. So Hazel, as of right now, I don't really have anywhere I'm promoting it. I just kind of put little bits here and there on Facebook. I only have one issue complete, which I've been sending out to publishers, and I have a few small-time publishers that are, I think, willing to work with me or get this out. Mm-hmm. But I really can't say much about it yet because it's in progress of being made, and I don't know who's going to sell it or if I'm going to attempt a Kickstarter. I would love to say a company name right now, but I can't.
So then maybe
soon I'll actually get more on Instagram.
Okay, that's cool. Yeah, I'd love to see you on Instagram.
Well, yeah. You're always welcome back here, and you know us, we know you. We're always here to promote. Obviously, all the cool shirts that we got is because of you. And we are doing this weekly. We want you back every single time. We could do this for 5 hours straight, but we're not, right? I'm just glad that we actually got the connection going. But we definitely want to see more of you every week, man. Anytime that you feel like you want to talk through your process, hit us up, bro.
Yeah, definitely. When this gets more complete, or I do get an actual contract and a publisher, then I will be more into repping it and trying to get it out there. But for now, unfortunately, I feel it is sad that I just have artwork and I can do demos, tutorials if anybody's interested in this style, because this is a certain style, that's for sure. But thanks so much for having me on, you guys. I was kind of just rambling. I don't know how well I really showed this off, but
dude, you did a great job, man. Like, I was watching you.
Thank you so much for having me.
It's like meditative, man. It's like watching those Bob Ross demos and kind of talking through your process, but about life. And this is what exactly I think this show is about. It's just a meditative, work with me, learn a few things, and have a cup of coffee after, So there's and be in a comfy position. I'm sure you guys all got to be in one. I have to have good TV on in the background. Or You look good, man. You look good. This guy's the only person I know throughout my career that doesn't get big or thin. He's just exactly the same as I met him like 10 years ago.
I tried. I gave up getting bigger, man. My body just won't take it.
Well, you're always well back.
But awesome. I won't hold you guys up too much because I also got to use the restroom and whatnot. But
this is gonna, obviously the Twitchers are watching this live. This will come out next week. We're gonna throw all the links, everything that you're gonna give us. We're gonna throw it under the YouTube, so that everyone can find you after they find the video itself. But we'll do our best to make sure that you're out there. But that pretty much covers it, man.
Good luck, you guys. Thank you so much again. Love your show.
Thanks for being the show.
Thanks for being the show.
All right, see you, man.
All right, dude.
All right, bye, you guys.
Bye.
Let me see. I'm gonna hit.
There we go.
And he's hidden.
Woo. And that one was on purpose.
Yes. And that is it. That is it for the thing. You guys are watching this, reviewing this. That's the format, and that's what we're bringing every week. So be sure to join us.
Thanks for watching. Thanks for learning with us and choosing our school as the destination to help you get better at what you want to do.
Yep. And that is it. I'll see you guys next week.